Happy Friday, everybody. We've made it to the end of the week, and I am going on vacation next week. So soak up all the Dana videos you can get now because I'm taking next week off. Today is day 5 of our manager-assisted sales calls, and today you get a call from Manny. Very excited to bring you his sales style today, show you what he does to help motivate people to make a decision and take control of the call. If you are just now finding this channel, thank you for being here. My name is Dana Neeson. I run a telesales team for Tailored Legacy. We sell final expense insurance over the phone with one carrier. My job is to help you have stronger, more sophisticated sales conversations. I hope you enjoy today's manager-assisted call, the final one of our 5-part series. As always, if you find value from today's training, please give it a big thumbs up, especially if you find value. Post a comment, tell me what you've learned. I'm getting the most unbelievably amazing comments from you guys. I enjoy it so much. I'm sharing them on Instagram. I'm responding to them all. I love how much our community is coming together to learn how to best support our customers, help them get out of their own way, to help them be in a better position. I hope you enjoy today's manager-assisted call from Manny, and I'll see you guys in a week.
Oh, yes. Hi there, licensed agent. So I have William on the line, and he is living on a fixed income, but already has existing coverage for final expenses. So thank you, and have a great day to the both of you. Bye now.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. And I go
Hi,
by
Will.
Bill, so.
Is it Bill? Okay, let me go ahead and update that in our system. And then is the last
Well,
name?
no. Yeah, my name is William, but I go by Bill.
Oh, you go by Bill. Okay. And what is your date of birth, just so I can confirm?
3.
Perfect. That's what we have here. And I have the address at 5 Perfect. Got it. All right. So I understand you were possibly looking at some coverage for you and your family?
Just me. My family died.
Okay. I'm sorry about that. So just for yourself, before I go into what
I
we
have,
do, I just have
listen, I
Go
have
ahead.
AARP. I have AARP for $25,000, and I pay $66 a month.
AARP. So were you just looking to add coverage or compare rates?
Well, I want to see what you got.
Okay, so just so I can get a better understanding of before, I just have a few questions I'd like to ask just so I can get a better understanding of what you might be looking for and make sure I can even help you in the first place. Would that be okay?
Sure.
Okay, so for your $25,000 policy, how much do you pay for that right now monthly?
$66 a month.
66 a month, perfect. And why do you feel like that's not enough? Were you just looking to add some coverage, or?
I wanted to see if you have something better.
Okay. How long have you been looking for?
Not really. I just happened to see it online.
Okay, perfect. So one thing I want to assure you on is no matter what you decide today, I want to help you understand it. That way, when you're ready to make a decision, you feel more confident to make one because you have the right information to do so. Would that help?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So what expenses are you most concerned about your family having to pay for when you pass?
Nothing. Just my cremation.
Just your cremation?
I'm not
Okay.
leaving anything to anybody. I'm not leaving anything to anybody except what I have on my cremation. I have my niece and my nephew living. So.
Okay, so God forbid you were to pass away tomorrow, because nobody really knows the day or hour. Who in your family will be responsible for going down to the funeral home, meeting with the funeral director, and making all those decisions?
Say that again. You were talking kind of fast.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so God forbid you were to pass away tomorrow, because nobody really knows the day or hour. Who in your family will be responsible for going down to the funeral home, meeting with the funeral director, and making all of those decisions?
Wait, yeah. And see, they know I want to be cremated. Now, do you have a cremation policy?
Yep, we can get that for you. But who would you have as your
Okay.
beneficiary?
Who do I have?
Who would you have as your beneficiary?
Can I be,
You can have two of them. So you can have one, and then you can have another one as a backup, or you can have two, and then they split 50-50, or whatever you like.
well, can I leave it blank for the moment?
Okay, yeah, that's fine. And just so I can get a clearer picture, you said that you were looking more towards cremation, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Is there something
I don't want my
special that
body,
you want?
yeah. No, I don't want my body dragging through the earth.
Okay. Is there something special that you would want your family to do with your ashes once they have them, like keep them in a urn or spread them all over an ocean?
Well, I have my late mother-in-law and my late wife up here on the shelf, and they're just in a wood box. I'm waiting on,
Okay.
so nothing fancy.
Okay. So let me see if I understand this correctly. You currently have a policy right now, but you're just kind of looking for something small just to offset the cost of your cremation services, right?
I'm trying to find out if you have a cremation policy. What is it? How much is it, and what does that entail?
Okay, so typically cremations are anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000. With our company,
Nope.
you can with our company
With your
you can
company?
get them as low as $800 to $900 with our company.
All right.
Okay.
I've seen that
So,
advertised.
yeah. So now I'm gonna go over what we do just so you understand it and can determine whether if it's even a good fit for you. Then I'll ask you some health questions just to figure out what you qualify for. And finally, we'll go over a range of options and pricing, and then you just let me know what you like to do next. Does that sound fair?
Sure.
Okay. So our agency represents Lincoln Heritage Life Insurance Company. We've been providing final expense insurance and funeral protection to families for the last 60 years. We also specialize in working with seniors who are living on a fixed income, which means all of our programs are customized. Are you also living on a fixed income, like Social Security or
Yes.
disability?
Yes.
Okay, which one is it? Social Security?
No, I don't get Social Security except for a survivor benefit. I get disability from the government.
Disability, okay. And do you receive that disability through a direct express card, or do you get that directly deposited into your bank?
No, the government directly deposits.
Into your bank?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, it's very important to me that we find something that feels comfortable, because if you can't afford to make the payments and the policy cancels, then it's not going to do you or your family any good anyways, right?
That's right.
Okay. So let's see here. So the first thing I want to let you know is that Lincoln Heritage only provides permanent whole life protection as opposed to term. Um, Now, do you happen to know the difference between the two, or has anyone ever explained it to you before?
Well, I know one of them gains interest and you can build it up and cash it out, and the other one no. And I don't know the difference between the two. Which one is which?
Okay, so yeah, you're 95% of the way there. The best way I can explain this to you is that term insurance is a temporary protection. It's designed to provide a large amount of coverage for a small monthly payment, but it only lasts for about 10 years or so, and then it cancels. Um, and then, let's see. I do have our underwriter, Manny, here on the line. He's just going to go over some pricing options for you, okay?
Hey, good
For
evening. How
whole
y'all
life
doing
or
tonight?
term?
For
Good.
whole life. Yeah, yeah, we don't mess with
Okay.
term. So yeah, I mean, term is basically, from what I'm understanding, you're looking for something that's going to help pay for funeral expenses, whether it be burial or cremation. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Term would not be something you would use for that. When people are looking for something that's going to be there for when they die, they usually go with the whole life because that's the only type of insurance that's guaranteed to be there when you die because it's just like it says, whole for your whole entire life. So that's a good way to know what's what. Term is basically term, and the definition of term is a period of time, and that's how long the policy lasts. It's only for a period of time. Whole life lasts for your whole entire life. So that's a real simple way to kind of identify the two. And just like you said, the one builds in cash value and all that other good stuff, that's whole life, which is what we're going to be talking to you about today. So Genevieve,
Okay.
what state are we working out of right now?
It looks like he's with New Mexico.
All right, New Mexico.
Yeah.
All right, so let's take a look here. Sir, were you looking for something for burial or cremation? What were you looking for?
Cremation.
Okay. All right, yeah, it's pretty simple. So let's take a look at what's going on in New Mexico. All right. So it looks like the average cremation in New Mexico runs between $3,500 and $5,000. However, we have a program that gets it done for right under $1,000. So we can save you a lot of money on that. It's a very unique program
Well,
we have.
Wait, now the funeral director here in Carlsbad, he charged me $1,800 for my wife's cremation. No visiting. I mean, no visitation, no viewing, none of that stuff.
Nothing.
The cremator in Artesia, New Mexico, wanted to charge me $3,800 for the same thing.
Yep. So in those situations, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Director in Carlsbad said the reason why his is so much over there in Artesia is because he's the only one listed, and so he can do it. And most of his are paid with insurance, so nobody gripes about it.
Yep. Of course not. I'm going to explain to you why that is and why he does that. Okay? Because at the end of the day, the funeral man's not your friend. Okay? So let me explain to you how things work and why that man does what he does and how he's able to do it and why that would not work with us. Okay? So what happens is when you pass away,
greedy.
That was one thing, but he knows he's greedy. He knows it. He knows what he can get away with. Unfortunately, that nonsense doesn't work with us, and I'll explain to you why.
Well, wait,
okay? So what happens?
Well, I'm sorry. What irked me was when my wife passed away, the medical examiner took her there, and he told me it was $3,800 for cremation, and he would not let me make payments. He said she'll be put on hold in the cold storage until I pay it. So when I went to Carlsbad and talked to the director there, and he said $1,800, and I told him what was going on, well, he didn't charge me to go over to Artesia and pick her up. He didn't charge me nothing except the $1,800, so I thought that was kind of commendable.
It is. It is.
Yeah,
and if you want to do business with that guy again, we can do that. We can. It won't cost the $1,800, but we can certainly. Because here's what we do. We don't. The number one thing that we do, which takes the power away from the funeral man, is we pay your beneficiary the day that you pass away, and that does a lot because now what happens, especially with that other guy, when he's talking about insurance, he knows that the biggest problem with insurance is that it takes the insurance company 4 to 6 weeks to pay out. So what he does is he basically tells the family, well, look, just assign the policy over to me, okay, and I'm going to use whatever it costs, and he's going to act like he's doing you a favor, and he's going to pay your family back whatever's left over. But he charges so much because now he's in control of the policy, and he only gives back what he wants to. You're lucky he was only asking for that $3,800 or whatever. Normally they whack you for $5,000 when in that situation. So what we do to avoid that is we don't require the death certificate, and what we do is that allows us to pay your family within 24 hours of you being gone. That takes the power completely out of the funeral man's hands, because what does it do? It puts the money in your family's hands the day that you're gone. Not only that, but we also put a representative in place to negotiate all the costs. Now, a long time ago, a lot of these funeral homes were bought up by these big corporations, and we actually have special pricing with these corporations, and we have the negotiators. So we get a discount walking in, and then we also negotiate everything down. So I like to say $1,000, but it's usually between $600 and $800 that we get it for. But I'd rather tell you $1,000 and it be less than tell you $600 and it be more. That's just how I do business. So what I would tell you is that basically when it comes down to it, we probably get the cremation. It looks like in your area what we've been getting it for, looks like for the last 4 years is roughly between $600 and $1,000, depending on where we end up. It's not any higher than that. But again, we have that special pricing, and we have the negotiators that you wouldn't have, or your family wouldn't have, if they just had regular old insurance from another company, plus having to wait 5 weeks. Now the funeral man's going to tack on more money because he's going to go ahead and do all the work, and without getting the money, he's going to wait to get paid from the insurance company. So he's charging for that too. But with us, you just don't have to deal with that. We don't need the death certificate. We put the money in their hand, and then we negotiate all the prices for them, because they're not going to be in the state of mind to be wheeling and dealing. I mean, I feel when you were making those calls after your wife passed, was that something you felt like doing after you just lost your wife? No. Well, you did what you had to do with what you could afford.
Well, see, he had her in cold storage for 30 days.
Oh, my God.
I know. But anyway, I'm also a 100% disabled veteran.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that matters.
Now, it does. Let me tell you what not with what you're trying to do, it doesn't. But let me, I always like to go over what you get so that you understand it. So let me pull that up for you real quick, okay? And I'll read it. I'll just read it right from the Veterans Administration page. So I'm going to read this to you word for word. This is what it says. VA does offer limited benefits to anyone who has been honorably discharged from the military. The number one most important thing a family would need is a copy of the DD-2-14, aka the discharge papers, which indicates that the veteran has been honorably discharged. They should make several copies of this so they have them available at the time of need. VA benefits. If the VA has a copy of the paperwork needed, this is what they receive. Burial in a veterans or national cemetery with opening and closing of the grave, a grave liner or outer burial container. They can also be eligible to receive a free marker or headstone at any cemetery, should they not choose to be buried at a military cemetery. And free military honors, which includes the presentation of the burial flag and presidential memorial certificate. Not included. The family is still responsible for the actual funeral or cremation service. The government does not pay for any of these services, so the family is still responsible for things like removing the place of death, or removing from the place of death, embalming, dressing, casket, visitation, use of the hearse or limos, flowers, funeral service, cremation or cremation process. So basically what this is saying is that they only pay for the cemetery stuff. Cremation, nothing about cremation is covered on here. Now what they do have is what's called a burial allowance, which can be used for anything. And this reads, in rare circumstances, a family can apply for a reimbursement from the government for no extra cost. But even in these cases, the family still pays out of pocket while they apply for the reimbursement and wait on the VA's decision as to whether they qualify or not. The VA allowance for 2024 is very limited. The max allowance is $863, but there's no guarantee that you get all of that. From what I understand, you get that or some of that only when it's burial. But when it comes to cremation, they don't pay for a dime. Now, if you wanted the plot at the cemetery, what I have heard of is people being cremated. They pay for the cremation, but still get buried for free at the military cemetery. But other than that, the only thing that's going to happen is the presentation of the flag at the funeral home, and the memorial certificate given to whatever relatives that you have there. But you're basically on your own when it comes to paying for the actual cremation, which that's where we would come in. We would get that down to right around $1,000. Your family would have control of the money. We tell them who to go pay, how much, not a penny more, because we negotiate everything for them. It's a pretty easy process. Nobody's going to be holding you for 30 days.
Well, no, the thing that irked me was they didn't offer me anything for my wife, and she was a 100% disabled veteran as well. I called and called and called, and they said, no, you don't get nothing.
Not
kind of
cremation.
Pissed me off,
no. If she was going to be buried, if she was going to be buried, you'd have got the cemetery stuff. That's really it.
Well, I asked them if I got a headstone or something.
Oh, really? They didn't give you that? Because really?
Nope.
Huh, that's interesting. Maybe you didn't have the spouse. I don't know what branch you served in, or if you were in combat. Or everything's different with them. So it's really hard. But this is the basic military stuff. What I read to you. You really don't. I mean, you have to basically still be in the military and be killed in active duty to really get anything special, from these people. I mean, and even then.
True.
I mean, it's not that big a deal. You would think you guys deserve a lot more than what you get. I'll definitely, say that. But when it comes to cremation, you're basically on your own. That's why we provide the service that we do and the way we do it. It's just because we just don't, we don't want your family to be going through the trouble of waiting for the money. Especially that just irks me to listen to you tell me that he had your wife in storage for 30 days. Because of all this nonsense. I mean, we just don't want things like that happening to you. And if we put things in place, to where something's there, so that when you die, your family doesn't have to deal with all that nonsense, you're leaving your family in a really good situation. Do you have children? Is that who would be the ones that would be taking? Who would be responsible if you passed away?
I haven't decided.
Okay.
If you did, it'll be a friend. It'll be a friend.
It'll be a friend. Okay. So if you designated that friend, you definitely wouldn't want problems. So you would definitely want to leave that friend in a situation where there was enough money to take care of what needed to be taken care of. And realistically, does it interest you to make it to where that friend would just have to pick up the phone and make one phone call and that's it? We would take care of the rest. Would that be something that would interest you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we do. With every policy, you're going to get some cards, and you just hand one of those to your friend. Keep one on your person, and that friend, all he or she has to do is call that 1-800 number up when you pass. We take it from there. We get your body picked up. We get you taken to wherever, we make the phone calls to, we don't want to drop you or take you somewhere where, it's going to cost too much money and we end up not doing business with that funeral home, because we've seen that happen before, and we've been in a situation where they don't release the body until we pay for the store. I mean, it's nonsense. So what we do is we negotiate everything first. The people we decide to do business with come pick you up, and we just make sure we're professionals at this. We do this every single day, so we know what to do. There's never any problems. It's a very no-nonsense kind of situation, and we just pride ourselves on taking care of things the right way just to make sure that there's no issues. So let's do this. Let's kind of find out what something like this would cost. I mean, if it's either going to make sense for you or it's not. So let's just kind of see what we can do for you and what it costs. Now, you're on that fixed income, right? Are you on like disability, Social Security?
Yes.
And you get paid, when you get paid, it goes into a major bank or federal credit union, right?
Yes.
All right. What's your date of birth? So I'm going to ask you a few health questions, nothing too invasive, and we'll kind of go from there. Have you used any tobacco in the last 12 months? Right. So you're in great shape. You qualify for our very best program That's our final expense program. This program is designed specifically for taking care of cremation services and burial and things of that nature. It also includes some additional benefits. Just because we don't know when you're going to die, we also don't know how you're going to die. In the event that you have a non-natural death, it's going to pay out an additional $25,000. If you have a vehicular death, it will pay out an additional $50,000. If you have a common carrier death, which is plane, train, boat, taxi, Uber, Lyft, it'll pay out an additional $100,000. This next benefit, if you decide to go somewhere, God forbid something happens to you while you're away, your friend's going to be in hot water if there's no money to bring your body home. So we actually bring you home, so that in case that happens, we want to make sure that nobody's in a bad situation or has to use the insurance money. I don't really think that you're going to need a big policy, so I'm not going to recommend one. So we definitely need to have something in place that if something does happen away from home, it brings your body home, and that's what this product will do for you. Last, I have a dismemberment benefit. If you're dismembered in any way, we're going to pay you while you're still alive $12,500. It turns to $25,000 if it's a double dismemberment. And all these benefits are great, but to avoid problems like what you had, where we come through is that we pay the day that you pass away, and that's going to avoid any single problem that could arise, because the money will be right there to take care of it. So that's the main thing that I would keep in mind if you're considering this particular program. So let's take a look at some pricing. Let's see what this would cost you, and let's see if it makes sense for you. I know we can get it done for about $1,000. I'm still going to recommend something around the $3,000 range, just because I want to make sure that in case the prices go up over the years, you just don't know. I mean, you may be alive into your hundreds, I don't want to have to put you in a situation where you'd have to buy more insurance down the road. And then also, if something else comes up, we want to make sure that your friend has the money to take care of whatever may happen. So $3,000, we'll do $3,000, we'll do $5,000, and we'll do $7,000, just in case you want to look at that. So let's take a quick look, see what we got here. All right, so
yeah, because I have AARP. I got 25,000, and I pay $66 a month.
Well, what I want you to do is I want you to call them up tomorrow. I want you to cancel that. I'm going to tell you why. You're paying $66 a month for a policy that's going to expire on you when you're 80. When you turn 80, that policy is not going to be there for you anymore. So right now you're basically burning $66 a month for something ain't nobody going to get. If you open your policy, it says it right there, to age 80.
Mm-hmm.
That's a term policy. So unless you're okay with that, and who are you leaving that money to? Let me ask you that question.
Well, I was going to leave it to a niece and nephew, but they're not blood related. But
well, it wouldn't matter because you're in such good. Yeah, you're in such good health. I mean, let me ask you this: you're 67 now. Okay, do you see yourself passing away in the next 12 years before you turn 80? As good a health as you're in? No. No,
I plan on living to be 100.
Yeah, does it make sense to keep blowing $60 a month on nonsense that's not going to pay anybody ever?
Well, that's all I could afford at the time.
Oh, and you know what? I'm 100% on board with you. Having something is better than nothing. However, I would take that money, and I would rather. Hey, maybe you're not going to get $25,000, but you know what? Nobody's getting any of that money anyway, because you're going to make it to age 100. Definitely going to make it past age 80. So what? Why throw that money away? Instead of putting that money into money that no one's going to get. Why not put it into a policy? Hey, it may not be $25,000 of pretend money, but hey, it may be $10,000 of real money that somebody else. So what would you rather have? Would you rather leave your niece and nephew something that for sure they're going to get, or something that hey, maybe you might die, maybe you might not, but come 79, you're going to be like, dang, I've been paying all this money for all these years, and none of my niece and nephew aren't going to get squat. It's a horrible feeling. I get that call all the time. A lot of folks don't know that policy ends at 80 until they get that letter at age 79 letting them know. Meanwhile, they've been paying on it for 15 years thinking they got whole life. it's a horrible, horrible feeling. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. Otherwise, I'd have never known. I'd never told you. Open your policy next time you get a chance, and it says it right there. Yeah, you don't need to take my word.
Oh, I know. I know. No, I know. I've read it.
Oh, you knew? Okay, great. So yeah, if I were you, I would take that money and put it into something that is going to pay your family. It may not be $25,000, but at least they're going to get it. Okay. So let's take a quick look.
Well, see, what I was referring to. What I was referring to is the reason why I had the $25,000 is because they would pay for the funeral home, the cremation out of that. That's why I did it that way. That way they wouldn't be liable.
But you understand what I'm saying, right? You know that if you make it past 80, nobody gets a dime, not even the money for the cremation.
Yeah.
So I just don't want to see you wasting money. Is all I'm saying. I mean, I'm not telling you to waste it to get rid of that and come spend the money with me. I'm just saying that hey, you need to do something because what you're doing isn't something that's going to work the way you think it's going to work. And that's kind of what those people do. They take advantage of people that, want the most amount of coverage for the least amount of money. So they put that product out. But again, at the end of the day, the reason it's so cheap is because most people outlive the policy and they never have to pay the death benefit. Of course it's cheap. To them it's an easy, it's a win-win. For you, it's a lose-lose. So let's take a quick look at some whole life, some real insurance, and you'll see the difference in price and what you're getting. But hey, again, I'm talking about real insurance. What you're looking at over there, that's fictitious money that may not get paid out. In your situation, probably not because you're so healthy. All right, so again, I'm going to show you the 3, the 5, and the 7. If you want to look at more money, if you want to think about, diverting that other money into something like this, that's something we can talk about as well. But right now, I just want to give you what I think would cover your cremation, and then we can, change things up afterwards. So $3,000 would only be $30.14, okay? And we get the job done for $1,000, so there'll be a little bit left over. $5,000 puts you at $44.90. $7,000 puts you at $59.66. Now, did you want to look at anything different?
That $7,000 you said is $49.
No, the $7,000 is $59.
$59. Okay, and that's $7,000.
That's $7,000 of whole life money. I mean, it's guaranteed to be there no matter how long you live.
Now that draws interest and stuff too, don't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That does build in cash value that you're able to borrow against. And if you win the lottery one day, cash it out and take the money.
Okay, what's 10,000?
10,000. All right, let's see here. All right, 10,000 puts us at $81.80.
Okay, now the question I have is, when I die and my people get this money, they have to go and pay the funeral home, right?
Yeah, but after we negotiate everything. And, the reason you want this way, we don't want to put the money in someone else's hands. Because if we pay the funeral man or your family has to assign the policy because they bought some insurance that ain't paying until 5 weeks later, then you're not going to be in a good situation. But no, you're right. We pay your family the day you pass away because we want them to have the power of the money, and we provide the service of looking for the place that's going to do your cremation for under $1,000. We tell them who it's going to be. They go pay that person. Okay, we just put everything together for them so they don't have to. But this way, the power maintains in their hands, and the money does too. That's how you want it done. You don't want anyone else that has an interest in this to have power over that money.
Okay, say the funeral home charges $1,000 and there's 9,000 left. Okay, there's 9,000 that goes to the beneficiary, right?
No. All 10,000 goes to the beneficiary, and your beneficiary cuts a check or counts out $1,000 to the funeral home. Your family maintains control of all the money, all the time.
Well, that's what I mean. They'll keep 9,000.
They'll keep 9,000
okay.
and give the funeral man 1,000. Exactly.
Now, what if I have more than one beneficiary?
That's fine. You tell me how you want this split up, and that's how that's what we'll do. Now, each of those beneficiaries will have to agree. Hey, we're going to pay. I'm going to pay $500. You're going to pay $500. Okay, that we can't. I mean, there's nothing we can do to make them do. Now, we're going to have a final wishes guide where they're going to have the blueprint on what you want done, and you just got to let them know. Hey, I'm gonna leave you this money, but y'all need to kind of figure out, that y'all are, realize that y'all are splitting my cremation costs. It's only going to be $1,000.
Well, the thing is, I know the thing is, when I leave it to the first beneficiary, they're going to have to pay it. The other two don't.
You say they don't have to, or they won't want to?
No. I want the first beneficiary to pay the funeral costs, and the other two.
Okay.
Yeah, and the other two don't have to.
But would you split it up evenly 3 ways?
No.
But the funeral costs are going to come out of, or would you leave the extra? Would you leave the extra 1,000 for the first person, and then what are you talking about doing?
Yeah, leave the 1,000 for the first person to pay the funeral, and then divide up.
So yeah.
The 9,000. Then divide up the 9,000, not equally.
No, so I get it. So I see what you're saying. So yeah, you just need to let that one person know that, hey, you're responsible for paying the funeral home. Because we can't make anybody do anything with the money. You have to keep that in mind. Once they get the money, heck, they can ride off in the sunset if they want to.
Well, see, the thing is with that. My other policy, my niece is the beneficiary, and she knows that I want to be cremated at this funeral home, and I have her. I had her getting, I think $10,000, and after she paid the funeral, then she would get to keep it. Then I had the rest divided up between the other people. So this would be basically the same thing.
Yeah, I could do the same thing. That's not a problem. As long as you let her know that what her responsibility. Now, we would have it in the final wishes guide. When they call you, you let them know, hey, make sure you tell my niece that, remind her she's responsible for the, and they would let her know, hey, it says here that, you're paying for the $1,000 for the funeral costs. So they would remind her of that, when you're gone. It would be in your final wishes guide.
And then she would get whatever I decided to give her. Besides the $1,000.
She would get what's left over. Yeah, exactly.
Well, basically, yeah. Okay. I just have to decide who's. But 10,000 is the highest you go. I mean, for $81, I don't know. But that draws interest.
I can go up to 35,000. I was just giving you what I thought you might need. But if you want more, I can afford. I can do more. Yeah, don't spend more than you can afford. That's you don't want to do that.
No.
Okay, so is that the one you want to try out? Is the 81? Is the 10,000?
Well, if I'm losing 15,000 between the two, but in the long run,
but are you really?
I don't have to worry
think about that.
I know, but
think
in the long run,
are you really losing that 15,000? Do you really think you're going to die before age 80? You have to consider that. It's a gamble. I understand where you're coming from, but it's a gamble. But it sounds like to me and I can tell by how healthy you are, it's just unlikely that you're going to pass. And the reality is, if you were in a situation where you could pass before that, they wouldn't have sold you that policy. You wouldn't have qualified for it. They're not in the business to pay death benefits. You understand that, right?
No.
Yeah, here's what happens. Okay, this is how insurance companies manage risk. They ask you these health questions, and based on what how you answer is what you qualify for. When it comes to term policies, most of them are designed to not really pay out because they're designed to pay if you die. Versus a policy like this is designed to pay when you die, because we know you're going to die one day. That means if you die before age 80, and that would probably only be due to unnatural causes. Now, with me, if you died of unnatural causes, I'm going to pay that $25,000 plus the $10,000. So if you have that premature death, like that's the only way that other one would pay out, instead of getting just 25, your family would get 35. Now, if you died in a vehicle, they would get 60,000. That other policy doesn't have those kind of benefits.
Okay, now I got the other question I have is, can I increase that at any time, or is there just?
Yeah. So basically, what would happen is, the first 30 days you could increase it. Now, nobody lets you just increase coverage. You can buy more coverage. Now, the good news with me is I don't whack you for $5,000 every time you come back. You can buy $1,000 here, $2,000 there. Anytime you want. You don't have to. Every other company makes you buy $5,000 every time you come back. So that's the difference between me and other carriers.
So I can just go up that list, going up from 10,000 based on what I can afford.
Exactly. You want to throw on a couple thousand. You want to bring it up to 12 in a couple of years. Yeah. Now it'll be based on how old you are at that time, and God willing, you don't have any of the health conditions. But yeah, bring it up a couple thousand. I'm not going to make you buy 5,000 every time you come back because that's going to be unaffordable. Get a couple thousand. Most people get a couple thousand here, a couple thousand there. Just as you get older, you can afford more. You can buy more. It's completely up to you.
Okay. So when would I have to pay that $81?
Whenever you want. You get paid when do you get your Social Security?
The 16th.
You want to start it on the 16th? I can set that up. We can just go ahead and apply. And we can go ahead.
I'm wrong. It's the third Wednesday of each month.
Yeah, I can set that up for the third Wednesday of every month, no matter what day that lands on. So what I do is the insurance company would go ahead and just do it that way. We do the draft on the third Wednesday of every month. We coincide with Social Security to be able to do that for you folks. So I mean, most of our clients are on SSI or disability. That's why I asked you about that earlier, because I was able to give you a discount for that.
Okay, yeah. See, I'm on Social Security survivor benefit.
Yeah,
they said I didn't
not a problem. It's all the same to us.
Security.
Yeah, it's all the same to us. It's not a big deal. So what we can do is this. So let me get the agent back on the phone here. We'll go ahead and grab an application from you. We'll get the insurance company on the line. They're going to run your prescription history just to make sure that you qualify for this product. If everything goes well, they'll say yes, and we can set this up for the third Wednesday of every month like clockwork. All right. So Genevieve, are you still on the phone with us?
I'm here.
Do you have the applicant information already filled out for me?
I do. I'm just missing a few things.
That's all right. Can you just read me the applicant name, last name, address, and basic information, and I'll handle the rest. Can you read that to me, please? anyway, it's a pleasure talking to you for sure. You give me a call if you need anything. We're here to help you in any way that we can. All right. You have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Manny. I appreciate it.
Yes,
Bye,
sir.
William. Have a good night.
Bye, Genevieve. You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.